Okay, so a good morning to you. Let me just confirm if we're live. A lot of times you think you're live and you find you're not. So yes, we are. All righty. So a good morning to all of you, both those on Facebook as well as those that are on Zoom here. It's a Monday and it's the last Monday of September. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable how quickly days move. I mean, we started this year just round the corner. I mean, it feels like yesterday. I actually have this theory. I believe that the older you grow, the faster time grows. I mean, that has to be the only explanation. And the reason time is perceived to move faster is obviously because you're older. So when you're older, you're busier. When you're busy, you've got more things to do, and you start to look at time in longer patches. You don't just think of the weekend. You're now thinking of 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. You're thinking of next month, the month after, all sorts of things. And because you've got so much going on, time really becomes a resource that just gets more and more valuable. In fact, it's absolutely amazing that as you grow older, time becomes so valuable that by the time you reach your 40s and 50s, it's absolutely indispensably expensive. Then, of course, when you retire, you don't have much to do. And so time kind of slows down whilst becoming more and more and more valuable. But that's a conundrum to be discussed in philosophy classes. So welcome to our program. We run these every day, Monday to Friday. On Monday, we have myself. Tuesday, we have Dr. Aunt Sylvia. Wednesday, we have Anne Bachaita. Thursday, we have Dr. Nelly. She's been in Cape Town all along. I'm sure she's had a great time. We were so blessed to have her whole son preach at our meeting on Saturday. I was very blessed by his ministry. Pastor Bradley Van Reenen, very powerful. So I know that Dr. Nelly is over at the Van Reenens in Cape Town. But that aside, today's Monday, so it's me. And then, Friday, we always do our business opportunity presentations for those of you that, are thinking about creating alternative streams. Something to harness the times and the era. A lot of people have just not done that, and I think they do that to their detriment. The topic today is, are you prepared for a digital age revolution? The funny thing is, the digital age began for all intents and purposes in the year 2000, but you could actually take it back to roughly 96, 95. That's when we could say that the digital age was on its way to really taking hold, but it kind of accelerated through the 2000s and then took a quantum leap in the 2008s and then just took off into the stratosphere, and it's not coming back. It just keeps going. And so every one of you that's watching this, listening to this, you have to adapt or die. There is no other option. I'm sure you've already seen how powerful and how powerfully disruptive the digital age is, but it's powerful. It's come in its full glory. And the new digital age has upset the cart and disrupted virtually every industry you can fathom. Every industry you can think of has felt the impact of the digital age. In fact, in terms of the digital age, we are in what is essentially the fourth industrial revolution, which deals with something called supply chain. And supply chain is a whole other baby. I mean, it's so vastly different from the second industrial revolution, which is the 50s and 40s. And unfortunately, the sad part is I feel a lot of our curriculum and our systems of operating here in Africa are still stuck in the second industrial revolution. But the funny thing about disruption is that whether you move or you don't, it disrupts. And when it disrupts, you gotta come up with a plan, or else you find yourself thrown to the side. So the recent past is dotted with examples of industries that have been disrupted immensely, and the repercussions for those that never prepared or anticipated it. I'll give you some very basic examples. The camera and film processing industries. You all remember, those of you are my age and up to 10 years younger than me, you remember Kodak. That was a well-known name in the industry. Kodak had 170,000 employees as recent as 1998, and it sold 85% of all photo paper in the world. That's just literally 24 years ago, okay? However, by 2003, that's literally in a 5-year space, Kodak had declared bankruptcy just in 5 years. That's how crazy this is, ladies and gentlemen. So today, photo processing on photographic paper is almost non-existent, and everyone uses digital printing instead. I mean, I see photographers today at conferences and seminars. They come with little printers. They've got their little papers that can print on those little printers to create photographic paper, and they come with cameras. So literally everything is processed on the spot. The days of going kusukisa, which is what our language for going to prepare the photos, that's gone. You're taking them to studios and then they process. I'm sure you all remember Royal Art Studios and Phoenix Studios. They used to have that. You take your film in there. Films don't even exist anymore. If they exist, they are what I would term museum items. They just don't exist anymore. Nobody uses negatives to take pictures because everything is completely disrupted. So that's a very good example, okay? So the other one, like we said, here's the part that's really amazing. Even though digital photography was invented in 1975, the images were only 10,000 pixels or 10 kilopixels or 0.01 megapixels. Can you imagine? Today's high-end phones have back cameras capable of taking 20 megapixel photos, 40, 64 megapixels, 128 megapixels. I mean, that's not even discernible to the eye anymore. Okay, these photographs are far superior to modern photographs and they can be processed instantly. And you know what's interesting? When Kodak was in existence, this technology of digital cameras was invented by them. It was in their lab that somebody created this, but somebody felt that it would disrupt their business model because they were selling films and making a lot of money out of film. So they didn't see the need to promote the digital camera. Little did they know that was the secret to the future. So everyone must recognize one factor that technology brings to the table: convenience. And that, I think, is a very important factor. Every one of you watching, that's the key: convenience. Remember, software is currently disrupting every major industry and will continue to do so exponentially. So I'm going to go into industries now, and hopefully many of you listening to this, you're going to use this as a way to help you come to terms with the reality, if we can even use such a term. You just have to come to terms with the fact that disruption is here to stay, and it's profound, and if we don't adapt, we die. That's going to be my mantra throughout this series. We're going to be doing about maybe 3 or 4 episodes of this, so I will keep singing about if you don't adapt, you die. So let's begin with the first platform, which is very, very interesting, and that is what we call the platforms themselves. So digital platforms are completely revolutionizing business. Businesses have now moved away from the old models, to what they're calling the platform model. Let me explain that. Many of you are familiar with Ulendo. Many of you are familiar with the currently disruptive Yango, and along with about maybe 8 other service providers who do not own any taxis whatsoever. And by the way, Ulendo, Yango, all just basically copied their model from an international brand, platform called Uber. So Uber is still the largest out there in the world in terms of vehicles and access to vehicles, and every country has felt the impact of Uber. Every country without exception, whether it's the United States, whether it's over here in Africa, over here in Zambia, traditional taxi drivers are feeling it to the T. But they are the biggest taxi cab service, okay? So even though they don't own vehicles, they are the biggest. In the world, it's Uber. Airbnb does not own any hotels, but they are the biggest hotel and lodging chain in the world. And as you read this and listen to this, there are 4 key areas that are transforming all industry, and they're transforming it exponentially. That's robotics, that's biotechnology, that's nanotechnology, and the most fearsome platform, artificial intelligence. I have looked at, to be honest, I work very much with AI. I have looked at what AI can do. Can I tell you something, fellow viewers? AI is scary. Let not anybody cheat you. I'm a writer, okay? I'm a writer. And there are times I have to incorporate AI because I do have some paid platforms for AI. I have paraphrasing software for AI, and I have an article generator. I write most of my articles and it comes out naturally, and I've seen what the AI can do. Can I tell you something, guys? It's scary. What the AI is producing today is insane. And so people like journalists, reporters, and anybody that has to create copy, that space is going to be gone very soon. So even though I can proudly sit here and say I create ad copy and I create writing, that space is really been taken over by AI. As they continue to improve on the machine learning, the intelligence, and tweaking these AI bots, these local AI bots, that space is changing. So I can tell you with absolute certainty, in another 5 years, news reports, articles in newspapers will be 100% able to be produced by AI, and it will read and make sense. Wow. Now there's something to think about. And you think it's that industry alone? Let me tell you what this is doing. These 4 items I've mentioned, robotics, biotech, nanotech, and AI, are disrupting traditional businesses faster than I can even speak here. And don't forget that technology increases exponentially. So in short, when you see certain technology at the beginning, it is restrictively expensive because investors are recovering their investments through research and development, right? But within 3 to 5 years, most money is recovered, and better still, generic versions of the technology quickly start to pop up in the market. And these generic versions are usually the result of reverse engineering research, which is very common with the Japanese and the Chinese. Okay, so in short, if you see some fancy tech today, within 3 to 5 years, generic versions will show up in the market and take market share, as they will be cheaper than the prototype. And then one of my favorite examples, without hands, has got to be the mobile phone industry. Okay, I'm sure I use an Infinix. This is an Infinix Note 8. This is a 64 megapixel quad-core AI camera. This technology on this phone was the exclusive right of Samsung 10 years ago, because Samsung are the ones who came up with the mad technology on the cameras behind the phones. I mean, they were so consistently brilliant at it that even Apple and their iPhone, who were so stuck with the one camera view, just had to give it up. They also just started doing 2 cameras, 3 cameras. They went the quad-core tri-core camera system because they realized that you can't stay behind. But who was the investor of that technology? Hands down, it was Samsung. But today, what's their names? What's the other company? The name has just gone. Huawei. Yes, the Huawei. Huawei began to copy that and reverse engineer it. And then Samsung had done it first, but Huawei came in. Then after Huawei, then you got this new brand, which is basically your 3 brands, which is Techno, Itel, and of course this camera here, this phone, the Infinix. So what I'm trying to tell you is that everything just changes within 3 to 5 years. So many tech companies, many investors look to make their money back within 5 years, because by then there is cheaper versions in the market. And in the past, they used to laugh at cheaper versions and cheaper generic products. Nobody's laughing at that anymore. You know why? Because examples of cheap coming and completely killing old timers is Epson. Again, people like Auntie Sylvia are probably the only people who can remember a brand like Epson, because Epson used to be the printer of the time. So if you work from the 80s, you remember they had the dot matrix printers. Anybody who was banking with Zanaco, I'm sure you still remember those crazy mad bank statements. When you'd ask for a bank statement, you get this thing. And by the way, that thing even used to be used to wrap vitumbwas. So after people got their mad crazy statements, they would later on go and use them to wrap vitumbwas as they sold them in the streets. But the point is that dot matrix printer was the printer of the time. It was the printer. Epson dominated the market. Then here comes Casio. Casio was a Japanese company. Casio were known for making those cheap calculators. And some of you may remember those Casio watches. And you know, by the way, that's so interesting about if you follow the story of Casio, it's the same story. Rolex, Omega, all these big brands in Switzerland were the key watchmakers of the day. The Japanese realized that they could be able to get to follow time using a quartz crystal, and they tried to sell that technology to Rolex. Rolex said, we will use mechanics, we can't use quartz. So they left them and they started producing the digital watches. My friend, those digital watches went mad. They literally killed the market for Rolex. They lost a massive chunk of the market for Rolex, and Rolex remained only doing exclusive watches to this day. But you can't compare in terms of the size of business that Casio has compared to the other. There you go. And Sylvia, absolutely. It just made me laugh. I'm remembering. And you know, then when these Epson people were busy with their dot matrix printers, two lab technicians in their lab invented the desktop printer, the inkjet printer. And the Epson bosses said, we can't use that. That can't work. We will continue with the Epson dot matrix printer. Oh, well, what did the two technicians do? They quit Epson and went around pitching their printer. And lo and behold, Casio and Canon saw it, picked those two, and the rest is history. The inkjet printer took over the industry. Canon and Casio, especially Canon, became a household name. They grew massively big, and they completely buried Epson. Epson is history. Today, if I ask people, do you even know Epson? It's like, Epson, what's that? Nobody knows Epson anymore. They are gone into the dinosaur era of the printing industry. That, my friends, is what a disruption can do. That, my friends, is what technology can do. Remember, they moved from inkjet to laserjet. And now we have 3D printers, which, by the way, Canon is still pioneering. So they can literally print anything in 3D. They can print this in 3D. They can print a pen. They can print anything in 3D. This is the level at which technology has gone. And what I'm trying to tell you here, very simply, is that when disruption comes, you better make way. Now, let's talk about the mobile phone industry. That's another area. About 15 years ago, Nokia, Ericsson, and BlackBerry were leaders in the mobile industry. You know that. They did not anticipate the power of the smartphone and its disruptive nature. Apple and Samsung invested heavily on the smartphone touchscreen tech, with one exceptional strategy. They opened up the market and allowed apps and developers to work further by developing a phone with a platform. You see, that's the difference. This Yango, you see, that's the technology that basically Apple and Samsung did. They worked with Google, and then Apple created their platform, which is the iOS, and then the Android guys use the AOS. Now the Android was taken by Google, and they worked hand in hand with Samsung, and next thing you know, they opened it up. So developers, all the tech community could come in with their things and then build. What Windows, Nokia, BlackBerry did as a mistake was to keep it exclusive and lock the platform. So they did not realize that by so doing, they were committing suicide in that space. And that's what's happened. Nokia could not understand, even the day that Windows bought them off Microsoft, they still couldn't understand. And Windows and Microsoft didn't really catch on. Right now, Microsoft is extremely clever. A lot of people are wondering if Microsoft has gone down and disappeared. You will be amazed. They learned powerful lessons from this instance, that exclusivity doesn't work. Because remember, they own this office suite and everybody is basically slaughtering them in this space. So what they did is they moved over into the digital space, into what we call the metaverse. And they are so smart in that metaverse, they have one up even on Facebook. Even Facebook is behind in terms of they're nowhere near where Microsoft is, because Microsoft learned their lesson. They learned that the key is a platform. The key is a universe. So The Android people created a universe and allowed everybody to come in and build their apps and just meet a certain standard. This is what Microsoft is now doing. First, they moved their whole entire suite to the online platform. So they're no longer releasing CDs, which we can load on computers. So in another 5 years, that will not be the case. And what the other players like Ubuntu have done are very smart. Okay, so this idea of using platforms has been so cleverly done now that you now see a new breed of techies who are putting all their money to invest to plug into those platforms, and the metaverse is the one. So Microsoft has bought virtually every major gaming platform in the world. The record biggest gaming platform, I don't know the name of the platform, but they spent over almost $50 billion. I don't know if it made a wave, but they did. They spent a lot of money, purchased Sony. So all the Sony games, you know, on the PS1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they own that. So they bought that part. It's Microsoft. Then all the games, of course, you know, Xbox has always been Microsoft, so that's their baby. They invested, and then they've pushed it all into the metaverse. For those of you who keep wondering what I mean when I say metaverse, that's the digital universe existing in cyberspace. What is cyberspace? Cyberspace is where we are operating right now. This whole, whatever we're doing right now, this is in cyberspace. You're seeing me, we're all meeting, but we're meeting in a virtual space called cyberspace. So it's the internet and it's a world there. Now, some people have invested a lot of money and they've created a 3D world, a literal world in which you can go into and interact with people. You meet their avatars there. What's an avatar? An avatar is basically my digital image of me. So I create a digital image of me, or I allow the AI to give me a digital image. If I'm happy with it, that becomes my digital image in cyberspace. So this is what's going on. They have put tons of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars. As I'm speaking to you, over 1.5 billion human beings are active in the metaverse every day. They have even started selling real estate in the metaverse. Can you believe that? Like, there's actually people who've set up and they're selling real estate. Yes, I'm not joking. Like, houses and plots are being sold in the metaverse. Now, how do you access that metaverse? You buy yourself some special goggles, which can then render that entire universe visible in 3D. It's happening. It's completely changed. I'm loving what Uncle Mansa is putting up. I'll read it just now. They have gone in that space. And so, which means there is now new opportunities in that space. And they've created in such a way that individuals can come with their tech and plug in. The same way it's happening with places like Facebook, places like Twitter. These are virtual spaces and platforms where users bring their content, and then the owners of the platforms use it to market to offer, you know, a space for marketers to pitch to their users. So imagine digital billboards in cyberspace. That's what's going on now. So in the metaverse, there's advertising. As you are going around, adverts will pop up. You have billboards that appear, virtual billboards. This is the new thing now. It's absolutely amazing what has been achieved, you know, when it comes to this space. It's interesting how when the networks are switching, you go through this process. I'm just hoping that it'll connect and we'll be able to move on to the next stage. It's still requiring and connecting. There we go. So it's connected. I've changed networks. Now, like I was saying, this is the new space now. And what's happening is that we are seeing a total change. Platforms include Facebook, YouTube. All these are content generated by individuals. So we're no longer in a space where things are generated by the companies themselves. All they do is provide a basic platform. That's the model of the future. That's why we talk about supply chain. One of the examples that one good, very wealthy man told me the other day, which I agree with, we were talking about a company like Kafue nitrogen chemicals. The reason why that thing can never work in its current state is because it's operating using a 60s model. In this day and age, that thing is supposed to be 8 different companies. 8 different companies providing different services and looking at the viability of what is most ideal. That's the reason Indeni is probably going to close, because, well, like be shut down. It's the same reason. When you work out the global supply chain, does it make sense to manufacture or does it make sense to trade? And you know, people speak very evil of trade. My good friend the other day was actually telling me, you know what, trade is not as bad as people make it out to be. Ask yourself a question. And I want you to think about this deeply and figure it out. Think for a moment. What does Dubai produce? What does Dubai have? Like that city, what do they have? They just trade. What does Hong Kong have? They just trade. Let's go even further. Let's like really hit this home. What does the UK have? Like, does the UK actually have anything that you can say this is really their product and that's what's running the country? No. It's being strategically located to trade. And trade is not as evil as it sounds. Yes, we need to build a manufacturing sector. Yes, we need to. But one thing I love about the digital era is that it is providing all of us with a way in which we can bring value virtually on the basis of service alone. And service is a very critical product. I mean, right now, ask yourself, what service do insurance companies offer? Like, in tangible terms, what do they offer? And if we really want to drive this home, what service do banks offer? Okay, yes, they help us transfer money. But the truth of the matter is, banks were just for keeping money. That's what they were. They say, like, give us your money and then we'll lend it to people and we'll give you some savings, some interest on it, and then we'll also make money out of lending it out. But I love that peace of mind. Absolutely. You see, and that's the point, Nora. That's my point precisely. My point is, service doesn't have to be tangible to be powerful. Did you know that in South Africa, right now, almost 40% of their revenue is from the service industry? It's not even in the manufacturing and what have you. Yes, you have powerful manufacturing going on in South Africa, massively powerful. You've got production in the farming space, but do not every one of these spaces relies heavily and integrally on service provision. So insurance, banking, and every other thing you can think of, consultancies at all manner of levels, all these are services. And then now, because of the digital space that's come, which was brought about by cyberspace, God bless the internet, it has now brought so many other services that before were hitherto impossible to even imagine. But now they are there, they are available. And even those of you listening to me by this teaching, you have so much opportunities, it's not even funny. Let me close by giving a very practical Zambian example. A really practical example of this whole idea of service and how adapting is the difference between success and failure. There is a gentleman, I'm not going to mention names because I'm not allowed to, I didn't ask them. This young man just does graphics. He's not even a brilliant graphic artist. All he does is just, you know, take pictures, copy them, paste them, remove the background, put them in another background, you know, working with really simple software, you know. And then what has he done? What he's done, him and his brother, they invested in some printers. These are edible paper printers and then also ordinary printers. So they've got photographic paper printers, high quality, and edible paper printers. And of course, edible paper is available everywhere. And so what they've done is they simply get all these characters, because my wife is a baker, and so in the baking industry, there's a lot of character cakes. This is like normal. And a lot of people say, oh, well, I want a cake for, like, the kids want the cartoons and stuff. The adults want a themed product, you know, like maybe somebody's a fashionista, so they want a particular brand or whatever it is. So you find that this thing of graphics, which they then print up, is a normal thing. That young man has so established himself. His office is actually in the market. So his rent is nowhere near, it's not even 1,000 kwacha. He's got himself some good equipment, good computers. And what is done, he sits in the market. And from the moment he opens at 9, that young man is busy up to 17 on average. And each picture he is creating, and I'm ending now, each picture he's creating is roughly, give and take, 80 to 100 kwacha. He's already got the skills, so there's nothing he's adding to that. It's the people paid. So he pays for the photographic paper and he puts an image on it and he makes 80 kwacha per image. And sometimes he does as much as 1,000 to 1,500 a day that he does as turnover in that marketplace. And there are some days he is so busy, he has to run away, literally. There's another, his brother operates from one of the most strategic locations in the country. And that's the biggest cake accessories produce vendor in the country at Civic Center. His brother is there, and that gentleman has people every day. When I happen to buy stuff for my wife, I walk in there, there's always 5 or 6 people sitting on those chairs waiting for their picture to be printed. Now, that's so simple. It's just graphics. He's not even a graphic artist as I know graphics. He's simple, just paste and is making 1,000 to 1,500 a day. And his overheads are very minimal. As I speak, the young man is building, he's bought himself a car, or he got married. I mean, and his aunt is 32. And all he's doing is just using the digital space. And that's why I'm telling every one of you watching this, and I'm going to end now, but every one of you watching this, I mean, if you're sitting on a skill and a talent and you're broke, that's on you. Okay, especially as a young man, because you got no expenses. Some of you these days, things have changed. Zoomers are still living with their parents at 30. But the point is, you are in a different space now. There's so much room. You know, the service industry is unreal, and that's why I'm saying don't speak low on trade. Trade is powerful, and it comes with an entire support industry. You have no idea of how much you can create. There's so much room right there to do something and to start making money. And I don't even know where to go with this. Let me close by quickly reading the comments. Yap, Ngoza, Dr. Ngoza, if we don't adapt to die. And Sylvia, true, remember the telex. Remember telex, the droppings used as confetti. I'm telling you. And then Uncle Steve, young employee to new one during induction. This is a DAX machine. I don't know if it's a fax. Oh, a fax machine. The old guys used it for their communication. Horrible thing. Young employee to a new one during induction. This is a fax machine. The old guys use it for their communication. And that's gone, you know. I mean, fax is history. Nobody even, I mean, fax, like, what's that? Yeah, exactly. I mean, technology has completely changed. And, you know, if you look at where we are today, we are at a completely different place. And so when we come back next week, I'm going to go into another area, or a number of them, which have completely been revolutionized. One of them, a lot of people don't want to accept right now, which is changing, is the automobile industry. That means the taxis, that means the buses. I am telling you, you see this model we have, this chaos we have today, I guarantee you in the next 5 to 10 years, you won't see it, because something even more profound and more revolutionary is on the way. And so if you are in the transport industry and you're sleeping, you will wake up one day and you won't have this anymore. So that's what this presentation is about. It's about, are you prepared for the digital age revolution? So I look forward to seeing you next week when you come on again, and we'll look at some other even more exciting spaces, including the mobile phone. The mobile phone has created opportunities I can't even begin to explain. I mean, this gadget is indispensable. Any smart person, let me end with this, any smart person that thinks, that even has half a brain, or in the words of my pastor, has a head between his shoulders. If you are a person like that and you're broke with a smartphone, that's on you. And I'm sorry to be saying this, but I mean it. That's on you. You're on Facebook, you're on social media, and you're broke. You know, it's like being a mechanic and being broke, or being an electrician and being broke, or being a plumber and being broke. That's on you. It is on no one else. It is on you. Sorry, I've really gone over time, but let me give you another example of just how powerful these tools are. The other day, Winners Chapel, I was with a Winners Chapel pastor, and he gave a phenomenal example. A young man went to see him, and that's why I'm sharing it, because it was just so good. But sorry, we're over time. I apologize 50 times. He went to see this pastor, and he told him, Pastor, I'm struggling. Things are bad. Financially, things are horrible. So the pastor is sitting there listening, and he says, and what would you like us to do? I'm here for us to pray. The pastor said, no. And that's Winners Chapel. You know, they're very aggressive. So he says, no, I'm not going to pray for you. Can you tell me, you pray every day? We come here at church, we pray. We have intercession, we pray. We do overnights every month. Do you pray at home? Yes, I pray. Then no, that's not what you need from me. Tell me, what do you do? So the young man said, no, I'm a painter. You paint? Yes. Are you good? Well, I'm very good. How good? Very good. Okay, good. So he says, I want you to do a small job. Go and find 25 boxes. Pastor says, just go to ShopRite. Now, this is a pastor from Winners Chapel. We told him, just go to ShopRite. They have a lot of boxes they throw every day. Just go there and ask and be nice to one of those guys. Go to a security guard, tell him, I need some boxes. Please, Papata. They will give you the boxes. So you go there, get those boxes. When you get those boxes, go home. Get enough of them. Cut them. Go home. Have boxes about this size. Yes. Go home. Find yourself paint, find yourself a marker, but preferably paint and black paint, and write your name, number, and say, I offer painting services. Then when you do that, the pastor told him, go around your neighborhood. Where do you live? He said, McKinney. Good. Go around your neighborhood. You're going to find a lot of houses where they are building. So go to where you find a building and put your poster right there. Just every house where you see they're building or they look like there's building going on, just put your poster, just stick it right there next to the wall, right at the entrance of that place. If there's a wall, if there's no wall, tree, but right near the place, don't hand it, just stick it. He says, go around, and I want you to do, if you can do 50 of them, even better. I'm telling you 25, but if you can do 50, even better. So the young man went, did exactly what the pastor told him, and stuck those billboards, walked around his neighborhood in McKinney there, and stuck this thing around every area where he saw construction going on. Within 2 days, calls started coming, and he found himself busy. Then the pastor told him, and here's what I love about what the pastor said. The pastor told him, if in 2 weeks you have not gotten any money, come, we'll pray. If in 2 weeks nobody has called you, come, we'll pray. But just follow what I've told you. Long story short, the young man was so busy. By the time the pastor was giving us the testimony, that young man was so preoccupied, he had to start subcontracting. Now, can you imagine? You had to start looking for individuals to come so that they work together. Now, do you see just simple common sense and what it can do? You have a phone and you're broke. You have internet, you're broke. So on that note, I want to thank you all. We will see you next week. Sorry for going 8 minutes late. I just believe this is helping somebody out there. You will have a difference. If you are watching this, make sure you share with somebody, especially the young men who seem to think everything has come to the end of the world. They have everything they need to take off in this day and age. And most of it is already available and they're sitting on it. Have a great day. God bless you.